I can vividly remember the workspaces that are not recorded on video. The table in my bedroom growing up, the desk in the corner of our bedroom after we were married. Then, of course, you've seen the next few iterations on office or workspace as I moved around our former apartment. I ended up with an office space that was a little on the small side, but I honestly really liked. And so I wanted to keep some of that energy moving forward in the new place. I didn't just want to bring the existing set that we had over. I've got some particular needs that are different than the average artist's. I could do all of my drawing work at a single drafting table or even on the iPad on my couch, but then there's filming to do and some other things that I'd like the workspace to accomplish. I kind of wanted to move beyond just the idea of an office or a workspace to something that's a little bit more aspirational for you watching as well. I guess what I'm trying to say is, welcome to the Forge. So hopefully this all explains to a degree. Obviously moving takes some time, but I ended up also taking 4 weeks on and off in between everything else to build a pretty cool wall that I will probably be excited about when I don't see all the flaws later. Hexagons have no writing. There's a reason they're not a shape people use much. I'll have the full process for the build of this up in the next vlog for patrons and newsletter subscribers. Yes, we're going back to having vlogs. Nature is healing. Things are going back to normal. It's fantastic. If there's one thing that millennials, as a monolith of singular mind, do, when they see an old palette, they just say, give me the garbage. I'd like to give a big special thank you to my dad, whose tools and expertise and help, and even help moving this in the rain earlier today. Goodness gracious, all made it a reality, and it wouldn't have been possible otherwise. There's things that aren't necessarily done, some paint that needs some touching up, and a lot of embellishing and progress to make in the future. I mean, has anyone on YouTube ever made something and gone, hey look, it's 100% done and I'm completely happy with it? But it's a really good start. This is only one wall, though, of the new Forge. We've got the bookcase with reference books and figures. We have the drafting table from the previous office, the standing desk from the previous office. There's the camera, where it is right now. We have a new coffee station with some mugs that Tay set up with plenty of Brian Jakes novels underneath, just in case you need them. We've got closet space and a place for Tay where she assembles the backpacks and does all kinds of lovely behind-the-scenes work and writing. And probably most importantly, we have window space and lots of lovely new plants. You might recognize a new, smaller, fiddly fig there in the window. Our original is doing wonderful, and it lives in the living room where it continues to grow larger and larger. And as much as things are now finally getting back to normal, I also want to kind of mark this spot as a time for Character Design Forge 2.0, or to relaunch in a certain capacity. And no, I'm not talking along the lines that YouTube folks sometimes do, where they're like, now that I quit my job at Subway, expect 11 new videos a week. I have a friend who recently quit their job at Subway, and he's put up no new videos because he doesn't make videos. Come on, Jordan. One of the changes or new things that I'm most excited about is an additional corner of the Forge here, and it kind of ties everything together to be not just an artist studio, but a place where characters are forged. You might recognize it either from me wheeling it into the corner after one of the shots, or from this test object that comes out of it. I will have a lot more when I'm not working on the wall behind us. It's a resin 3D printer. This is something I'm really excited about and have been working toward for a very long time. And also, on the technology side of things, especially the resin 3D printers have greatly improved in fidelity and detail in just the last couple of years. I've dabbled a bit in the freelance space with toy design before, but now finally I can work on my own projects with them and develop figurines, things that I've always really loved. It's the final Thanos Infinity Stone in the gauntlet of, character design and illustration and animation and 3D modeling, physical figures. And if the fact that I'm excited about doing toy design makes you do this face, people have been making this face at me my whole life. It only makes me stronger. What's great is there's already 3D models of the Stormfellers characters for the animated pilot that we'll be releasing later this year, but there's also some cool, even fan projects that I'd like to work towards as a cool piece of video in the future. And if you could sort of connect the dots between those two things, maybe you could figure it out. One of the first 3D prints that I want to tackle is Wanderlumen's lantern over here.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Of course, the content here is going to continue centering around character design, drawing fundamentals, storytelling, all the lovely stuff that we always talk about. But one important change, and I think it's a good change. It's something I might even regret saying out loud, but here we go anyway. The feedback that I get on these videos, even the nice, lovely feedback that you folks give in comments and things, it always centers around, this was so helpful, this was so useful. Okay, great, I love that. But I think that it might be worth taking a shot at making the videos fun to watch, entertaining. That's something that's completely in my wheelhouse and I have the capacity for, but it's been a large blind spot for a while. I don't want you to see one of my videos in your subscriptions, if you even do these days, and think it's gonna be a dry lecture about something that is helpful and useful. That'd be great. But even if you're someone who already knows what we're talking about in the content or whatever it is, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I need to watch that later when I'm in the mindset for it. No, I'd love for folks that are better than me at something to still feel like they're getting some value out of watching it because it's entertaining. There's a part of me, there's a side of me that I use in the videos that's a teacher, and there's not much warmth that gets through otherwise sometimes. So I'd like to alter that and make it feel like if you see my stuff pop up, that it's going to be worth your while. Speaking of you and your circumstance and workspace, I completely understand how aspirational the Forge ends up being as far as a workspace, and how unreasonable it is in most people's circumstances to be able to devote this kind of space to something. I have been there, and I have spent 15 years building up my work and space towards this. But no matter what, even if you can't do this, I will say that having a workspace that is functional and helpful and cozy and conducive to helping you make good work is essential. It's vital. Having a sort of a safe space or a quiet space, or above all, most importantly, some plants. Even if it is a tiny table in the corner of your bedroom, print out some art that you like and put it up around you, and keep it clean, keep it nice, respect the work, respect the space, and above all else, don't use hexagons unless you have a chop saw. I'll kind of reiterate that over the past 5+ years of making videos, all of them in that previous space, there were a lot of challenges and difficulties that we went through. Things with the wacky landlord, health problems, difficult circumstances, right? That made it so a lot of times my approach to work was incredibly serious and maybe even dour. And the thing is, yes, all of this art learning, all of it is incredibly challenging, but it's also, character design is fun. And so I would love for you to come away feeling that level of excitement and refreshment instead of some kind of dry lecture. I appreciate your indulgence, sort of 2 weeks in a row talking a little bit meta, right? We talked about the Patreon last week, and now we're finally in a new space announcing that things are going back to normal and improving. In case you missed it last week, the very short version of the changes over on Patreon is that Biko's backpack is now $15 instead of $20. And actually, if you sign up in the next, there's not much left of May, but you can get May's backpack basically for $5 cheaper with the Blubford trading card, and the Scatosaurus keychain, and the Jonadab print, and the Mecha Parcel sticker, and then get June's the next on June 1st with the Quiver Pen. I'm lovely at this. You can get my course Learn Character Design over at learncharacterdesign.com. It's over 18 hours of video learning that is incredibly serious. And you can follow me over on Instagram at Bagel Denizen, where we've been posting daily recently and would love to hit 10,000 followers over there at some point in the near future. I'm also Bagel Denizen on Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun creating. By the way, I hope you like the new apron. It's got tons of pockets for someone who constantly puts things down and forgets them. And I get all of my fashion advice from that Mon Calamari dock worker over on Navarro.